Hey guys, how's it going? Rubber Kitty here. So, and you're probably going to be a bit, what about the title? About masculinity? Oh my god, no, not another girl talking about masculinity. Oh no, and what's this authority thing? What, talking about men in authority or men in authority? Not really. I'm taking the view of the other definition of authority, as in someone who has experience to talk about something in particular. Now, having the topic of masculinity, I cannot speak as to what a male experiences with regards to masculinity and what they call masculinity, being a female. But also, I was watching an interesting documentary. I'll have a link below, and it's all about this guy who reached out after he, grew up with a fairly difficult childhood, and he was saying that basically, men need purpose, and men need to learn from other men about how to be males, like know when is a good time to assert authority or be manly men, I guess. And the reporter asked, well, why can't women teach? He said because, well, they're women. No. I mean, would you, as a woman, take lessons from a man about being a woman? Most people say, well, hell no. I said, well, why would men take lessons from a female about how to be a man? And part of that comes down to authority of the experience. Now, I'm not saying that this is true universally. What it is generally a lot of people are hardwired to trust and learn from people that have had similar experiences or that they can easily relate to. Now, not a lot of men and women can relate directly with each other with regards to, masculinity and femininity. So that makes it extremely difficult for people to say, okay, well, you're not masculine because me being a female, I don't know about that. I know what people perceive as to be masculine and what people perceive as to be feminine, the general norms around societies, different cultural views. But as a female, I can just go, well, my views on femininity come from my own experience as being a female. My views on masculinity just come from having talked with people who are male about what it means to them to be masculine. And from that, being exposed to people with their differing, I guess, principles on masculinity and guidelines with regards to how they act according to their own version of masculinity, and my experience of that as a flow-on effect. It was quite interesting when he said he didn't know why, it's just the way it is where men listen to other men, more specifically why men are not listening to their mothers and stuff like that, as opposed to listening to someone like Jordan Peterson. So, well, because to me it seems natural that he is a man, he can relate, they can relate. There are some principles which you can relate to universally regardless of sex, obviously, because things like, trust, honour, all that sort of stuff, applied differently to male and female in general. The basic definitions and principles are the same, but and I've talked with many people about this, and yeah, you know what, when they say females are the fairer sex, yes, they can be, but they can also be the most malicious of the sex. After all, the whole saying, female species is more deadly than the male, had to have its origins somewhere. It's not just, oh, but they're animals and biologically that's the thing. I said, well, if you go on biology, well, females can be more deadly than males. Females will outlive males. We're all hardwired to survive as best as we can, whatever that means, or whatever that results in. So, masculinity, what people perceive to be masculine. What is it you perceive to be masculine? I don't believe in this whole toxic masculinity yarn, because to me they're just assholes. They're just idiots, rude, um, self-centered people, and I don't apply that to masculinity or people who display those traits of so-called toxic masculinity in general, but I apply it to people as a general whole, because there are also females and everything in between who do act that way. Being a dick, being an idiot, being uncool about things is not specific to any particular gender. In my point of view, it's more having to do with the people you surround yourself with, how open your mind is or isn't, and whether you are able to, I don't know, come to grips or accept the hurt that comes with being mistaken, wrong, called out on your crap. So, what do you think brings about an authority that other people will listen to a particular, I don't know, point of view, such as, teaching other people about things? Like, is it just their experience? Is it what they know from the experience? Is it just something that they have no control over? Culturally you're brought up in a place, but then you can switch later on with regards to things like, sex, being born biologically sex in one particular way, or different, colour, or being born in different socioeconomic levels. You have different experiences and you have an assumed authority on that particular point of view. But then why do you think that you have an authority to say, example, a lot of the people that say that they are fighting for the working class do not actually come from the working class. They might work, but they are not the grassroots working class, and they frequently speak with authority about what people need. It's like when there was a drought, no, it was a flood with the farmers, and a lot of people said, "I just drop hay and feed to these people." It's like, yes, but you can't just drop hay and feed to a flooded area, particularly when there's cattle stuck in mud and they're having a hard time getting out of the mud. They can't get trucks in there. You can drop it by a helicopter, but what you're doing is prolonging the suffering of those particular cattle stuck in mud, can't get out, starving to death, dehydrating and whatnot. So having to say that blatantly without going to people and saying, hey, what do you need? I have no idea, but I want to help. That's the thing. It's very frequently a thing with people who are into sex work. They say a frequent call of nothing about us without us, which means don't assume that you can speak on our behalf without talking to us, because they are not one conglomerate group. They all have their different point of views. They all think differently. In general, some of them may think the same and agree on the same principles and same purpose. I mean, example, our political parties in general want what's best for Australia. That's a general assumption that I'm making. Their methodologies and how they go about it are a little different, and that is what they're arguing about. And they're supposed to have a form of check and balance, and that's what they negotiate and they argue on, is the method by which they get Australia in general to prosper and look after their people. Okay? So, diverging a little bit from the whole masculinity authority subject, but you kind of get what I'm going at, is that talking about these issues on masculinity, and it's a really interesting series of documentaries I just started watching about what guys think about their own masculinity, how they think it should be taught, what it means to them, what they really think about their own masculinity. It's always interesting to get other people's point of view, and I encourage people to watch it, whether you agree or not agree. It's always interesting. Anyway, I think I've babbled on enough at this point in time. It looks like it's going to rain. It's getting colder, although last night was a bit muggy. So I'll see you guys later. See ya.